The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we've initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of this session is Path to PMP, Cracking Project Integration Management. And our guest speaker today is Nishant Shukla. He's a BU head and Profit Center head at Edureka. Nishant is a renowned trainer and consultant with more than 23 years of industry experience, with over 11,000 hours of classroom training and experience of conducting over 600 workshops on project management. He has trained over 7,000 managers and team members worldwide. We expect this webinar to last for an hour with around 40 to 45 minutes of presentation and remain the time for Q&A round. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them using questions tab on your control panel. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Prashant. Over to you, Nishant.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, moderator, for the introduction. And hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on wherever you are. I am Nishant Shukla, your host and speaker for the day. And I have been introduced already. Just a few words about myself. I come with more than 2 decades of experience, and a lot of them come from the project management. And gradually from the business roles, I moved into education and training industry. At present, I'm working with Edureka, and I also teach on project management, leadership, and various other topics as well. If anyone of you wants to connect with me, I'm all over there on the social media. You can find me, and I'll be happy to connect with you. So quickly moving to our agenda, because we have 45 minutes and then we will be we'll open for question and answers. So let's discuss the agenda here. The purpose of this webinar is to understand the project integration management, decode the project integration management. We will explore the processes in the integration management, how many processes are there, what exactly they do. Understanding the role of project management in all these processes, what exactly a project manager is supposed to do at a very high level. I will not get into the details of that or nitty-gritties of that, but the view will be very high level. Then we understand the significance of project charter, and once the charter is released, in what sequence and what order the overall project management flow will take place. So less of text and more of animations that you'll see in some of the very important slides, and then we will open up for question and answer, and I'll be glad to answer all your questions that you may have. So let's quickly move to the start with the topic. So the first thing is, why to manage integration? What is the purpose of doing this project integration management? If you are familiar with the PMBOK guide, if you are familiar with the project management framework, you know there are 10 knowledge areas: your scope, time, cost, quality, HR, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholder, and project integration management. So the question is, when each of the scope and knowledge area is taking care of that particular element of the project, why we need project integration management? So project integration management will help consolidate or integrate all the aspects or all the subsidiary elements of the project. That is your, at a high level view, it is scope, cost, quality, schedule, resources, budget, HR, everything. Each of this component will be developed separately, and using the project integration management processes, we are going to consolidate that during the planning stage, during the executing stage, and also during the monitoring and controlling stage. And this will also help project manager to focus on the big picture. Actually, not only project manager, but the entire team. When we are working on a small subset of a project, we need to understand, we need to figure out that how it is going to fit into the larger picture, how the outcome of the small task that we are doing is going to impact our overall project. It will also help make the decisions. Project manager, stakeholder, senior stakeholder, they will be able to take the decisions based on the outcome of certain processes here from project integration management. Okay. And project manager will use these processes to prepare the dashboards and the reports which will be submitted to your top management or the key stakeholders. So integration plays a very important role in the overall project management framework, and important point to understand here is project manager will be very actively involved into all processes of project integration management. So let us understand what exactly project manager is supposed to be doing in this one, in this process, in this knowledge area. His key role is focusing on the big picture and steering the project team towards success. He will have to ensure that he has all the right tools, methods, people working on it, and he has information based on the current progress of the project. He should be able to visualize how the project is going to roll up in future. Okay. So let us understand what are the processes, and then we talk about the role of the project manager in slightly detailed fashion. People who are aware with the PM framework, project management framework, or PMBOK guide 5th edition, they know there are 5 domains or 5 process groups. Okay, those people who are not familiar with the PMBOK guide or who have not gone into the details of PMP exam preparation, I would suggest you refer to my previous webinar in the same series, that is Path Through PMP 1, where I talk about all the basics that, what is PMP, what is PMI, what it takes to become PMP certified project manager, what are the prerequisites, what is the difference in Prince2 and PMP certification, and what is the average timeline. You can refer to that webinar, and if you have any question, you can get back to me. So I'll take it to the next level here in the integration. So we have 5 process groups, and project integration management being a very high level knowledge area, it has a process in each and every process group or each and every domain. The very first process, develop project charter, comes into project initiating group, where the project is kicked off. And once a charter is released, project manager will become the captain of the ship, and he will start working on creating the plan, what is to be done, what are the activities, how the project will be executed and managed during the planning phase or planning process group. After planning, whatever activities have been planned, project manager will lead and manage the team, lead the team in executing that, in direct and manage project work during executing process group. As the team start working on that, they will on the activities and on the project, they will get work results, and those work results will be reviewed and monitored in monitor and control project work to make sure it aligns with what was planned, to ensure that there is no deviation or there is no change. In case there is any deviation, the project team, project manager will take a decision that we need to take some corrective or preventive action. Sometimes there can be some change coming from the customer or the key stakeholder side as well. So all these deviations, all the corrections or everything will be identified. They will do the root cause analysis, and then they will take a decision whether to take a corrective action or preventive action or not. But project manager or anyone in the project team is not authorized to take decision to make to make changes in some of the element of the project, and that will be done during perform integrated change control process, which is again a part of your monitoring and controlling process group. Once all the deliverables are completed, then the project moves into the last process group, which is closing process group, where the project manager will review the entire set of deliverables, what has been delivered, along with the key stakeholder, to ensure that the expectation with which the project was started are fulfilled and the project achieved its objective. And another important thing that the project manager and the team is going to do is they are going to document lessons learned. Lessons learned are very important because that will help you decide for in the next peer project that what all corrective actions you would know from your experience, what worked in the previous project and what did not work in the previous project. So that is a overall process here. Moving on to the next slide, what role does project manager plays in all these process groups, during the entire journey of this project, during the framework of the project? So there are key four activities or four different things that project manager need to do. He need to have buy-in from all the key stakeholder. He need to have buy-in from the sponsor, buy-in from the team member, and all these people. First process we talked about is a project charter, where the project manager will not give the sign off on the charter, but project manager will have to ensure that he is working with the leadership or the management team to prepare that preliminary scope statement. That what is the project statement of work? What is the high level definition of the work that is needed to be done? And PM will have to ensure that everyone is aligned on that. Everyone has an agreement on that. Once it moves on the charter stage, then project manager will become the captain of the ship, and PM will start working with the entire team. And he will have to, or project manager will have to ensure that the team is aligned and everyone agrees on the same page that what is to be delivered, because different people will have different opinions. Their buy-in is very important. And the next thing is plan of attack. Once the work is the project is approved by the management, the charter is released, the plan is done and plan is approved and signed off by all stakeholders, then PM will have to make a plan of attack. How the activities will be executed, who will execute it, how it will be managed. It's very important to be prepared and make a plan of everything. So planning is something that is a very crucial. So PM may not do planning of each and every component, but PM will have to ensure that all the plans are aligned. He need to have a plan in place that how the work will be executed, in what order, what will be the synchronization. And trade-offs. Once team start working on the project, once it gets into the executing mode, you will start getting the work result. And again, you will have the challenge there that different people will have different opinion. Different people will have different expectation from the project. There would be change requests coming in. I'm sure whoever has worked in project environment, they know the only constant thing there also is change. Every time you go for a review with probably customer or with the senior management, there is one thing that is always going to be there, that is a change. PM will have to make the trade-offs here, and it's very important to do that. We cannot have a very rigid attitude. We need to have some flexibility, because if a customer is asking for certain change, he or they might have some genuine reasons for that. So the project manager will have to do the trade-offs, and then let's learn from the experience. Once the project is completed, once all the deliverables are completed, you move to the closing phase where you review what worked well and what did not work well. You will pass on this information to the key stakeholder. At the same time, you need to document this also for your future reference. Next project when you're doing, you will make sure that whatever did not work in the previous project, you are taking corrective actions for that. And that is called as experience. And that experience helps individuals, project managers, project team, and most importantly, the organization. That is called the maturity of the organization also with respect to project. What did not work in terms of processes, in terms of planning, in terms of anything. Okay. So this is a role, a high-level view of the role that project manager needs to play in a overall processes of project integration management. Okay. Moving on to the next idea. Okay, if anyone has any question, you can pass it on to the moderator, and once the slides are done, I will start answering all those questions one by one. Moving to the next slide, I have taken this help of Deming cycle, which I'm sure most of the people are aware of, and I'm taking the help of Deming cycle to explain or to simplify the processes of project integration management. So let's quickly talk about the Deming cycle. We have plan, do, check, act, PDCA. Plan, what is the objective, what is the process you're going to follow, what is it that you're going to do, and once everything is planned, you start doing as per the plan. Whatever activities you planned, you will execute those activities, you'll follow the process, and as you work, you will have work results. You will check those work results. You will check whether the deliverable that you have, the output that you're getting from the do process is as per plan, it aligns to the plan or not. You will look for deviations, you will look for element of change, and if there are any deviations, or if there are any changes, then you need to find out why this has happened. You will have to do the root cause analysis, and you need to act on those factors which are causing these deviations, and those actions will be implemented, or those actions will be updated into the plan, and then you will, in the next cycle or in the next occurrence, you will ensure that those changes steps are being followed. So this is a very simple Deming cycle here. And now let us look at how does project management processes coming from integration management fits into this Deming cycle. So when I talk about the PM processes, I have made small changes in this. I added two more processes boxes in between. One is change and second is close. Everything remains the same. The approach remains the same. Now planning, we will have a process called develop project management plan, which is in planning process group. You can consider that as in the plan. And direct and manage project work, where you do the execution, where you do the work. Monitor and control project work, where we check whatever has been done is as per plan or not. And if there are any deviations, we monitor for the deviations, we monitor for the change, and then we act in a controlled environment. We act accordingly. We do the root cause analysis, and we do get the finding of the analysis, and we act on that. And this becomes a decision point for the PM and team, that what changes we need to make to ensure either we can correct the deviations, or and those deviations do not happen in the future. Once those factors are identified, team will raise a request to change those things, and changes cannot be implemented just by project manager or the team. They will have to go to integrated change control process, where a governing body called change control board will review all the changes, the need for the change, why this change is needed, and what if the changes are not implemented, what will be the impact of this change on other element. If you remember in the beginning, you saw that constraints, competing factors, that is resource, scope, time, cost, quality, budget, risk, and all. So if there is a small change in your scope, how that change will impact your cost, quality, risk, and other constraints. After reviewing all this thing, your change control board will decide whether to approve or reject those changes. If the changes are approved, they will be updated into the plan, and the team will have to redo the work, or the changes will be implemented in direct and managed project work. If the change request is rejected, then it will not go anywhere. It will just remain here. It will simply die here. Okay. And once all the deliverables of the project are completed, all the piece of work that was planned is completed, then the project moves to the last process of the project, which is your close project or phase, where the project manager will review all the completed deliverables with the stakeholders. They will review with with the sponsor, customer, and the key stakeholder, to ensure that all the work for which the project was started is completed and accepted by the customer. And most importantly, they will document the lessons learned. So I hope this is clear to everyone. In case if you have any question, as I told you, you can just start sending the questions to the moderator, and I'll answer them at the later stage. So moving from here, now we will go to the next slide, where we talk about the very first process, that is develop project charter. I will not get into the details of that. I'll not get into the inputs, tools, and techniques and output of the develop project charter process, but I will shed some light on some of the key important factors associated with the charter. So first of all, project charter is always and always released by the project sponsor. Okay. And project charter is an agreement between the project team and the senior management of that performing organization. And project charter is a document which must not be shared with the external customer. It depends on the project. If you're doing it for the internal customer, let's say you work in XYZ organization and you have another business unit or another vertical in the organization, and you're doing this project for them. then I don't see any problem in sharing the charter with that internal customer. But if you are dealing with an external customer, you must never share the charter with them, because project charter will have some very important information like business objective, why you are doing this project. Suppose your organization has an objective that we are doing this project because we want to retain this customer. We do not want this customer to go to some other to our competitor. Okay, and we want to have our return on investment. We want to make 25% of profit through this project. If your customer get to know all this detail, it may have some implications, business implications on this. So that's why it must not be shared with the customer. Project manager can help the project senior management team and project sponsor in preparing the project charter, but it is always a project sponsor who will give you a sign off on the project charter, who will approve the project charter. And once the charter is released, project manager is authorized to use the resources of the organization for the project. Project manager will become the captain of the ship from this point once the charter is released. Now the question comes, can we share the charter with our team? That is highly subjective. Sometimes it may have some very sensitive information which you may not want to, you would not like to share with everyone. Then you can create a mini charter. I am talking about the real life scenario. How I used to do that and how I have seen some other project manager to work like that is they create a mini charter. Mini charter will not have that sensitive, project sensitive information or the business related information, financial information. It will have your high level project objective, why it is being done, statement, project scope of work, your constraints, assumptions, and the key stakeholder. Those information can be shared with your stakeholders or with your team members. So that is completely subjective how you want to do it in your organization. And once the project charter is released, now let us see and find out how the overall processes work in tandem, how what is the logical flow of the overall processes here. So develop project charter is the very first process which is going to give you project charter. Okay? And once the project charter is released, project manager will be authorized to use the resources of the organization to to work on this project. And once he has the go ahead, he becomes the captain of the ship. Then project manager will build his team and they will start working on developing the subsidiary project management plans. Those subsidiary project management plans can be your change management plan, your requirements management plan, configuration, scope, cost, HR, communication, your scope baseline, cost baseline, schedule baseline, quality, process improvement plan, procurement plan, risk management plan, stakeholder management plan, communication management plan, and all those. So if you go to page number 78 of PMBOK guide, you will be able to see all the components of project management plan. So these subsidiary project management plan will be developed. They will be developed in tandem. Of course, you need to make some trade-offs. Okay, so you will develop, or the team will develop all these plans, and then they all will be consolidated in the process develop project management plan under the planning process group. So when you look at the process, if you check it in the PMBOK, one of the key input in develop PM plan process is output from other processes. And output from other processes means the processes from your scope, time, cost, quality, HR, communication, risk, stakeholder, procurement. These processes will give you the subsidiary plan which will be integrated here, and you will get your project management plan or the project plan, or you can also call it as a master project management plan. And once you have the plan ready, then you move to your direct and managed project work, which is in executing process group, where team will start working as per the plan. Whatever activities you identify that were planned, that those activities will be carried out here. Okay, and here the project manager will have to lead and manage and direct the project team in doing all that work. Once the team start working on all those activities, they will also start getting the work results. Work results technically are called as deliverables. Deliverables, uh, along with the deliverables, they will also have the work performance data. So work performance is the raw data associated with the deliverables. For example, the team finished a small deliverable, a small component of a project. So that component, along with the information that how much time the team took to complete that small component and how much money was spent on that in delivering or completing that small component. Right now, this is a raw data. We don't know whether it is as per plan or not. So this raw data along with the deliverable will be taken to the respective processes of all the other knowledge areas. For example, from project scope management, we have control scope in monitoring and controlling. From project time management, we have control schedule, cost, quality, communication, risk, procurement, stakeholder. All these processes from your other knowledge areas falling into monitoring and controlling process will use this raw data, and the team will do a variance analysis. The team will compare the actuals. Now what are the actuals here? The 7 days and $200 that you say. I've added it just for the example, so let us understand how it happens. Let's go to control schedule process. Control schedule is going to check that how the project is doing with respect to schedule. It will not look for cost, it will not look for scope, it will not look for quality or anything else, but it will do the variance analysis only and only for the schedule component of the project. So this work performance data, which is the raw data, will be compared in control schedule process with what was planned in your in that cost basis schedule baseline. For example, let us assume that this component was supposed to take 5 days. It means the planned value for this component was 5 days and the actual time it has taken is 7 days. When we do the variance analysis, we know there is a negative variance. The component was delayed by 2 days. Let's talk about $200. So the work performance data says that in order to complete this component, you spend $200, and that $200 will be taken to this process control cost, where we will check how the project is progressing with respect to cost. And then we will look into the plan that how much money was supposed to be spent in completing this component. And there we see that, okay, it was supposed to be done in $175. So when we do this variance analysis at this level, at other knowledge areas, just to check for that respective element of the project, we will get our work performance information. So the variance analysis, our report that we got from our control schedule will say there is a negative variance of 2 days. It means the project or this component is delivered with a delay of 2 days. That is your work performance information. So work performance data is the raw data, and work performance information is the analyzed data associated with that particular component of the project. Coming from the control cost, we will know that we were supposed to spend $175 in doing work, developing this component, and we have ended up spending $200. It means there is a negative variance of $25. So this becomes your analyzed data, which is technically called as work performance information. Now this information you will get from each and every respective process, and that will be your control quality, control communication, control risk, and so on. Once you have this data, now you want to see that if there are any deviation or whatever deviations have happened, how these deviations are impacting, or how these deviations are going to impact the overall project progress. So we will take this data, we will take this data to our next process, which is in monitoring and controlling process group, and that is called as monitor and control project work. So what we did in control schedule, control cost, control scope, control quality was to check how that particular element of the project is progressing. And we will take that work performance information from each of the scope to monitor and control project work, that how our overall project is progressing. Okay, so if we had a delay of 2 days in developing one small component of the project, how that delay is going to impact our overall project. Now this process will tell you that if you had a milestone planned for 30th June to be completed on 30th June, whether you will be able to complete that milestone on time or not. You will also be able to see the forecasting, that if you are not able to complete on time, what is the tentative date of completion? What is the forecast that you have for this? Okay, so you will be able to fit a small piece of information in the overall project perspective and see how that small variance at a small level is going to impact our overall project. Okay, similar way, this information, for example, is minus $25. That means we are overspending by $25. What impact this negative variance of $25 will have on the overall project budget? Will we be able to complete the remaining work within the remaining budget? Do we need some additional funding? Do we need to increase the budget? If yes, to what extent? And if you don't do, what will be the impact? Okay, these information you will be able to see in monitor and control project work. And the output that you're going to get from monitor and control project work is your work performance reports or your project dashboard. So work performance reports are the electronically published reports, electronically published data. It can be in the form of your S-curve, it can be in the form of any project chart, it can be on the SharePoint, it can be on using any electronic medium here. And that progress, it will also give you the progress against the plan. So you may have to update your project progress against the baseline. So you will update your PM process plan, overall progress against the plan. So let's assume a situation where there was no deviation at this stage, but still project manager and the senior stakeholder, they sense that something is not going right. For example, your cost performance index, CPI, is supposed to be 1, or this variance of $25 is well within the buffer that you have. But when you do the root cause analysis, when you try to find out why this has happened, you realize that it is because of a factor which is beyond your control and it may impact your project at a later stage. If you do not take any corrective action right now, in future you will have deviation in all the all the deliverables. So what the project manager or the team decides is, let us make some changes to the way we are working. Certain things may not require any changes, or another situation could be the component which was delivered is not as per plan and it requires some rework. There was some deviation, so it may go to your direct and managed project work again. So suppose if the component is defective and you need to redo the work, you need not to go through the change, you will simply go to direct and managed project work and you will redo the work. In case if you feel that some of the things are not going correct, and if your control scope, let's say while doing your variance analysis and control schedule, you realize that we are having a delay, we are experiencing a delay because the vendor or any third-party vendor is not supplying us the raw material in time. He is not meeting his delivery timelines, so our work is getting impacted. Then immediately you may decide to replace the vendor. In project management, team or project manager is not allowed to take that decision or make a change to it. They will have to raise a change request, which will go to integrated change control process. And in the integrated change control process, it will be reviewed by the change control board. The change request will have all the analysis and all the information that why this change is needed, what if you do not make the change, how this change is going to impact on your cost, quality, scope, risk, and other constraints. And the request will be reviewed by the change control board, and they will take a decision. If they approve the change request, that approved change request will be updated in your PM plan. In the PM plan, you will make a change. In your procurement management plan, you will make a change that we have changed or replaced our vendor, and you will have to implement that change request in direct and managed project work. Okay, if needed, you may have to do some rework. You may have to procure something again from the same vendor. Okay, so once the project moves to your monitoring control, the deliverable goes to monitoring control project work, where the example that I gave you earlier, that nothing went wrong, there was no deviation in the control scope, control schedule, or the subsidiary area, but the project manager and the project team sense that they need to take some decision. Maybe when you integrate all the small components, you realize that things are not going well, or things are not as per plan, or maybe the way it is progressing, very soon it is going to be delayed. So at that time, again, the team may decide to make a change, or it may come from the customer as well. When you review it with the customer, when you review that delivered component with the customer may come and say, no, this is not what I want, or maybe I want to add some feature in that. So the request will again be raised and it will go to your integrated change control process. And this cycle will be repeated until all the deliverables are completed. And once all the work is completed, all the deliverables are given to the customer, then it will go to your closed project or phase process, where the project manager will review with the senior stakeholder, project sponsor, and customer, and they will check and they will see whether this project, the objective for which this project was undertaken, is achieved or not. And that will be the end of the project. Project manager will, or the team will, document the lessons learned, and they will formally inform the stakeholder that the project is completed now. Okay, so this is the high level flow, very high level logical flow of all the processes, how it takes place. Now talking about the project manager, the PMP examination. So this information is very, very crucial to understand the overall flow, because if you are aware of this, if you are aware of the PMIism, PMI always insists that memorizing the processes, memorizing the tools and techniques or components is not at all important. What is important is understanding the process. What is important is understanding how things connect to each other, how these different processes talk to each other, what is the overall logical process flow. And I hope this document will help you understand the sequence, the logical sequence. So this was about cracking the project integration management. I hope I was able to add some knowledge to you, some value to the existing knowledge of the project integration management that you have. In case if you have any basic question about the PMP examination, that what is PMBOK, how long it takes to prepare for the PMP examination, you can refer to my previous webinar, which was about paths to PMP, cracking project management, how to clear the PMP examination. You can go to TechGig website and you can look for that webinar. You can find that webinar. You'll get a lot of information. With this, we come to end of this session, and before we end, I'll just tell you briefly about how it works with Edureka. Edureka specializes in virtual trainings, online instructor-led virtual trainings, and the benefit that you get here is over the traditional classroom sessions is, in case if you miss any of the class, in case if you want to refresh your memory during the examination, you can re-attend or reschedule the class that you have. You can join any of the ongoing class in between to get clarity on the topic. Generally what happened when they attend the PMP workshop, everyone is full of motivation and enthusiasm that I am going to appear for the examination in next 2 months time. After that, due to some professional or personal commitments, it may not happen the way we have planned, because change is the only constant we have in life. Suppose it got delayed for 6 months, and then after 3 months time, a few months time, you may tend to forget what you had learned in the workshop. So here you can always get back to our LMS. This access to the LMS is lifetime. You can always get back to access to LMS, and you can listen to the recordings, which will also have 5 full-length mock tests, which will have more than 1,000 questions. And once you enroll for any of the courses, you will also get your 24/7 on-demand technical support. So Edureka is a registered education provider of PMI, and once you complete the training, you will be receiving a 35 contact hours certificate, which will make you eligible to apply for the PMP examination. Okay. So that's all I have, and in case if you have any question, you start sending it to moderator, and I'll be glad to answer those questions. In case if I'm not able to answer all the questions, I will ensure that the answers I'm sending it through mail to you or to moderator here. I can be reached out at nishant@edureka.co, or this is my number for your reference here. Now I open it, I pass it on to the moderator, and I'm ready to take the questions now. Yeah, over to
Thank
you,
you.
moderator.
Thank you, Nishant. Thanks for this insightful presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, we would request you to, yes, take up the questions now. Participants, you are requested to continue sending your questions.
Okay, I can see the question spreading here. Uh, Subhavnath has a question. Who are the governing body of ICCP, Integrated Change Control Process? So the governing body of this Integrated Change Control Process, or maybe the Change Control Board, okay, can be anyone. Anyone in the sense key stakeholder. Your project sponsor can be a part of the change control board. Your project manager can be a part of the change control board, and your team also. Sometimes it can be the customer also. But point to remember here is your project sponsor, your project manager will never be a part of the decision making body, because he can influence the decisions there. Okay. If we take an example of an IT company, typically it will be the project manager, it will be the sponsor, and it will be the customer, and it will be the SME, subject matter expertise, if you have different verticals. So all those senior people can be a part of the change control board. All those people who have this ability to see how the project is, how it is structured, how it is aligned, and what impact a small change can make into different components of the project. But project manager will never ever be a part of the decision making authority of the change control board. Okay. And next question is from Imtiaz Khan. What is the difference between the schedule baseline and scope baseline? So first of all, let us understand what is a baseline. So baseline is an agreed version of the plan. So if we said that scope, in scope baseline, we will identify the deliverables. We will create our work breakdown structure. We will decompose our high level deliverable into the smaller component. And once we have decomposed it, we have the list of all the deliverables. For example, if you want to construct a house, so constructing a house will become a project. And then you will have an agreement with the contractor or maybe the construction company. You will inform them that I want these features in my house. I want it to be a 4 BHK. I want it to be a duplex with a lawn in front, with a portico, with a garage, and it will have some open area. It may have some swimming pool also. It need to have some fire extinguishers, fire safety measures. So these are all the deliverables. Once you and contractor agree that yes, we are going to have these all components in your house, that becomes an agreed scope baseline, agreed by all the key stakeholders. And schedule baseline is in what will be the schedule that will be followed. how much time it will take to construct the entire house. So the contractor will say, okay, we will finish the foundation work in first 30 days. And then from 1st August onwards, we are going to start working on the construction of that. We will complete the first floor by 31st of August, and then we will complete the second floor by 30th of September. That becomes your schedule. Once you approve it, once both of you agree on that, that becomes your schedule baseline. Okay, so I hope I was able to clarify between the scope baseline and schedule baseline. If you have any further doubt, you can reach out to me, and I will be glad to answer that again. And there is another question from Imtiaz is a web session is available on the internet? Yes, Imtiaz, the web session that I talked about on Edureka is available through internet. All you need to attend this PMP training classes is computer, headphone, or speakers, and internet connection, and you will be able to attend the classes there. Yeah. Any other question you have? Okay, I don't see any questions floating in right now. Moderator.
Dear participants, if you have any other questions, please feel free to send them now.
Okay, Murli is asking, is there any PDU for attending this seminar? Murli, this is a question, we can answer this later. Yes, generally we offer PDUs, and we can offer a PDU for this webinar as well. Yes, once I have the details of all the registrants and participants, we will ensure that you receive a certificate for this. But one more thing I want to add here, only those people who are PMP certified, they can get benefit from the PDUs. For others, for non-PMPs, this will not be useful. So just mention in your comment if you're a PMP, we will ensure that you receive a certificate. Okay. Any other questions? Murli is asking again, is there a recording of the course available? Murli, I'm not very clear. Are you asking about the recording of this webinar, or you're talking about the recording of the classes that we do at Edureka? Can you please specify that? Oh, yes, this webinar, yes, this will be made available by TechGig on the TechGig website. You will be able to access that shortly after this webinar.
That
Okay, you're most
completes.
welcome, Murli.
Yeah. Thank you, Murli. Thanks all the participants. I'm really thankful to all of you for attending this webinar and making it a success. Thank you, Nishant. We are really thankful to you for conducting this webinar with us. It was indeed a great session.
Thanks
The,
a lot. Thanks a
thank,
lot, everyone.
thank
With
you.
this, we are signing off, and bye-bye and take care.
Bye-bye.